Humans of the cardboard, welcome back to Just Nuts, guys. Today we're talking the second wave of Ashened support for Legacy of Destruction. The first wave stinks. I mean, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. The first wave is pretty bad. I mean, there's some potential there, like there always is in every TCG exclusive archetype that comes out over the last 5 years, but eventually Konami drops the ball on it. And I don't know what I'm expecting from the second wave, but it's something similar to a big old ball dropping. So let's see. They need a pretty strong wave. We'll see how they do. First card here, Shaman of the Ashened City. Level 4 Dark Pyro. It is searchable off of Bonfire, which is cool. 1300 to 1200. If Obsidian is in the field zone, you can special summon this card from your hand. You can only special summon this card once per turn this way. Reveal 3 of your Pyro monsters that are banished and or in your graveyard. Shuffle them into the deck. Then, if you shuffled an Ashened monster, you can add an Obsidian from your deck to your hand. Okay. This card takes so much setup. Like, this is at most a one-off. Maybe just to make it a rank 4 engine, maybe you play this card just because if you get Obsidian out, it is just a level 4 that jumps on the board, but that's a pretty low bar if we're talking about just a level 4 that jumps on the board. And her effect to do the shuffle to add is on field. It's not an effect in grave. It's not like you can summon her, make use of her, and then get a bonus effect. You have to use her while she's on the field, which is also pretty underwhelming. I don't know. This card's just okay to me. Nothing crazy. Spearhead of the Ashen City. Level 4 Dark Pyro. Again, Bonfire target. 1700 attack, 100 defense. If Obsidian is in the field zone, special summon this card from hand. Okay. You can special summon this card once per turn this way. If your opponent controls a monster with 2800 or more attack, tribute this card to target one card your opponent controls. Return it to the hand. Unreal. I mean, I get it. Vados can be a pretty potent, like, hand trap-ish card, depending on the deck you're playing against and depending if you get everything set up, but just this card is just there to bounce Vados back to your hand. That's all it's really doing. And you have to tribute it? You have to give up the monster. This card seems bad, man. Card just seems bad. Like, it's a level 4 that jumps on the field, sure. But it's like, it's not enough. The deck needs good cards, not mediocre utility cards. Alright, next up, Vados, the Dragon of Endless Darkness. I believe I went over this card actually a couple days ago. We'll go over one more time. He's a level 10 Dark Pyro Fusion, 3000 attack, 1700 defense. Takes specifically Vados, which does that make Vados a machine, not machine dupe, fusion duplication? What's that card called? The card that, like, reveals a fusion and summons a monster that's specifically listed in its as its materials. Sure, I guess that, right? Maybe you can just treat out Vados that way, but you don't even want Vados on your field. You want to summon them to your opponent's field more often than not. This is kind of a super poly target, right? Where if you summon Vados to your opponent's field and then you're making everything with using this deck strategy to make everything a pyro, you can super poly not only the Vados, but 2 other monsters your opponent controls, which can be kind of good, I guess. This card can't be destroyed by card effects. Also, your opponent cannot target it. That's pretty good protection, I will say. And then if this card is fusion summoned, destroy all spells and traps your opponent controls, so back row removal. And when your opponent activates a card or effect on field only on field, quick effect, send a face-up Ashened card you control to the graveyard to destroy that card. It's not even a negate. It's kind of just like a Ghost Ogre. Meh. I don't like, the protection's pretty good, so it is a big Chungus that's annoying to deal with. The interruption, though, is just really mediocre, right? Like, he's just a walking Ghost Ogre, kinda. If you're super polying into this, that's pretty strong, but if you're just summoning this as, like, a legit end board piece, like with raw materials, it's really underwhelming, I feel like. Embers of the Ashened, level 8 Dark Pyro, Fusion, 29, 24 for the stats. 2 Pyros, so that does make this a super poly target, for sure. If this card is fusion summoned, target a field spell engrave, add it back to hand. Sure. And at the start of the damage step, if this card battles an opponent's Pyro monster, destroy that opponent's monster, and if it is your turn, you can make a second attack in a row. This card, man. I think adding a field spell from grave back to hand is kind of fun. But other than that, this card reads strictly to me just like a raw super poly target. That's mainly what it's doing. Another underwhelming card. Alright, spells. Rekindling the Ashen. Quick play spell. Place one of your Ashen cards that is banished or engraved on the bottom of your main deck. Then target an effect monster your opponent controls. Negate its effects till the end of the turn. Oh. This is like Forbidden Chalice. This is searchable Forbidden Chalice that needs setup. This card's just not good enough. It's just not enough. Underwhelming. Alright, Extinguishing the Ashen. This is a normal spell. Send one Dark Pyro from deck to grave. Okay, Foolish Burial. Then add a level 5 or higher Pyro monster from grave to hand. Okay. For the rest of the turn after you activate this card, you cannot special summon from the extra except Pyros. Ugh. That hurts. Only Pyros from extra deck? There's like no Pyro extra deck monsters. That basically just locks you into the new fusion. You can banish this card from grave to fusion summon a Pyro fusion monster from extra deck using monsters from your hand or field as material. Ugh. You know, I was kind of... excuse me. I was kind of with it with the first part of this effect, where it's like kind of a Rhoda, but also like a Foolish Burial plus an add back at the same time, if you already had something engraved that you wanted. But the fact that that lock is pretty brutal, not gonna lie. So still kind of tough overall, and I don't know if there's any generic... I mean, there's definitely not any generic Dark Pyros you can just be dumping, but adding back any level 5 or higher Pyro, that's kind of nice, I guess. And last card here, Ashened to Endlessness, Continuous Trap. During the main phase, fusion summon a Pyro fusion from your extra deck using monsters from either field as material, including Vados. And if you do, it gains 500 attack for each material used. You can banish this card and one Dark Pyro monster from your graveyard. All monsters your opponent controls become Pyro until the end of this turn. Meh. This card's fine, actually. I don't hate that effect. Like, being able to use your opponent's stuff, this does kind of make this like a super poly kind of card, where if you can just drop a Vados on your opponent, then flip this, you're making your opponent's entire monster board Pyro, basically, and you can super poly 3 monsters away to then make a walking Ghost Ogre with pretty good protection effects. That basically seems to be the only thing like worth mentioning from maybe all of this support, to be honest. This support sucks. I mean, like, I'm sorry to say it. This support sucks balls. This is about exactly what I would have expected based on Konami's recent track record with TCG exclusive archetypes. They've been disappointing with them. They've been very underwhelming with follow-through on the second wave of any of these archetypes. And you could argue, you know, other than Plunder Patrol, every single TCG exclusive archetype revealed in the last, like, 5 whole years, which should be 10 different archetypes, is underwhelming. I don't feel sorry saying that. It's just the truth. This card, like 3 out of 10. This card, also 3 out of 10. Both the main deck monsters, like 3 out of 10s. This card, maybe a 6 out of 10. It's still not that impressive on the field, but like, you know, to have a fusion target like this is kind of nice. So I'll give it a 6 out of 10. This card is like a 4 out of 10, and the only thing even keeping it a 4 is like the fact that it's like a somewhat generic super poly target. This card's like a 4 out of 10. Like, Forbidden Chalice isn't the worst card in the world, but like when it's a Forbidden Chalice that needs setup and like it's searchable by your archetype, but it's still like so underwhelming, like it's not that impactful of a card, really, really fine. Just okay. This card's cool. It almost has the readings of like a really insane engine card, but like the lock is pretty brutal, and like, the fact that the fusion effect from grave still needs all monsters from hand and field means you have to give up a bunch of material just to even make the fusions. Not super ideal. So, just okay. Again, like maybe a 4 out of 10, 5 out of 10 on that, just because of the locks and stuff. And this card's maybe a 6 out of 10 as far as traps go. Being able to be like a searchable super poly type trap when your deck kind of sets your opponent up to be super polyed is not half bad, I think. But again, it's a trap card at the end of the day, so it can't really go much higher than like maybe a 6 out of 10 at the most. Anyway, all in all, it's super mid, like D tier support, I think, overall. It really is not going to push Ashen that much further along. And going off of the timeline of how Konami has been running things lately, this is probably the last of Ashen support, probably for 2 years. We probably are going to wait a year and a half, 2 years. They'll release 1 or 2, maybe 3 more new Ashen cards in 2 or 3, a year and a half, 3 years, somewhere in that time span. And I guess our only hope now is to hope that those cards are obscenely broken and actually make the deck good. But surprise, surprise, another underwhelming TCG exclusive from Konami. It's kind of insulting at this point, but I'm out of here for today. Let me know your guys' thoughts down below. Sorry I'm a little bit more pessimistic about this one. It's just the truth. I've already had thoughts about this recently, about how Konami's been so downright obvious in like making TCG exclusive archetypes like bad on purpose. And I don't really get it, but it is what it is. So I'm out of here for today. Let me know your thoughts down below. If you think I'm wrong, if you think I'm a little extra low on these cards, let me know in the comment section down below. Your overall thoughts on Ashen, either this wave specifically or just the overall archetype post this wave. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts and where you're at with the archetype at this point in time. But I'm out of here for today. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.